will be starting my reaction in 3, 2, 1, go. Oh man, I popped up for this because it's on its finishing stretch now. But I just hope the Greek Stoics are completely wrong about that because, well, let's hope those pessimists are also wrong. Okay then. It's actually nice to at the very least get a bit of building up in this series from a mythological standpoint at the very least. Man, I hope they at least show a flashback of what went down 50 years ago because that sounded like it'd be a lot of fun to see. It's nice to actually get to see the ramifications of what can go down if the calculations go utterly wrong. It adds a bit of tension considering that they do want to use the calculator, our main heroes. Ooh. Only makes it sadder just a fact in the circumstance regarding Lee's death. I do like this though because at the very least it does put Professor Lee a bit more prominently, even though she didn't have the highest amount of screen time in the series. Huh. This Victor doesn't want to reveal the answer straight up. He wants to just string him along a bit longer. Well, considering Lily Luck has been on the side of me, I don't see it going against her anytime soon. But then again, you never know, though. I always like seeing Jaeger's simplistic reactions towards certain things. You know, when I was younger, I actually was kind of afraid of moths, so I wouldn't blame Jaeger for asking that kind of question. Hmm. Aww. But hey, if Jaeger makes it out of the whole situation alive and alongside everyone else, he'll have ample opportunity of either playing around with creatures or interacting with either more people or more different beings. So it ain't all bad, at least looking at it semi optimistically. That is actually one of the few openings where no matter how many times I listen to it, I can just fucking jam to it no matter what. Yo, they make Jaeger look so fucking devious in the opening. I mean, he looks more devious in the opening than he does in the actual series. In the series, he's just a cinnamon roll encased in metal coverings. While in the opening, he looks fucking absolutely utterly badass like a stone cold killer. I like you though. I like both badass looking Jet Jaeger and cinnamon roll Jaeger. Jet Jaeger, if you ask me. Speaking of which, now that it's episode 12, I do hope Godzilla gets some a huge amount of screen time, considering the series is called Godzilla Singular Point. I wish they would actually show off the intents of humanity to get rid of Godzilla instead of just hearing about it. Because that's usually one of the tense moments in multiple Godzilla films. Seeing humanity try their massive amounts of weaponry to get rid of Godzilla and seeing them fail. Because in just getting exposition of saying they have failed to kill Godzilla, it kind of doesn't have the same effect versus Godzilla going against multiple weaponry, destroying multiple gunfire, and then seeing the faces of demoralized soldiers as they get eviscerated by Godzilla. That's something the series hasn't really taken advantage of, unfortunately. And I gotta mention that because I gotta compare it to all the other Godzilla media I've seen. Yo, that device kind of looks like a game. Kind of looks like an adjusted version of a Game Boy Advance. Or am I just imagining shit, that controller? Or it could be a combination of both of those factors. Jeez. I mean, I don't think she would say we'll never get it right. It's just that the chances of getting it would be highly, highly, highly unlikely. With like infinite amounts of highly, but I wouldn't say, I don't think she'd be saying it'd be impossible. It'd just be near impossible. I mean, hey, he may have detonated it, but it was to good effect because the soldiers to be able to go wouldn't have been able to make a difference if he didn't do this type of experimentation. So it worked out well in the end, if you ask me. I gotta admit, the animation realistic the machine was actually kind of cute. And that's something I do like about this series. The variety of camera angles whenever they're conversing, because if they didn't have that, the dialogue would seem drab. I have to mention that because since I'm watching all the non-sequel, non-season animes this season, there are too many fucking anime that have characters talking in like the same spot, making exposition still. Thankfully, Godzilla Singular Point never has that weakness due to the efforts you see from the animators. I gotta give respect to that. Another series that also does this season, and ironically enough, that airs the same day, is actually Super Cub. I like how he's like, even though it should be expired by 30 years, he still eats it all fucking casually. I would just slightly hesitate. I wouldn't even put a full chip in mouth. I would have just did a nibble just out of curiosity. But this guy just puts the whole thing in his mouth. Like about zero caution. Are we gonna see our glorious King Godzilla? I hope. Because honestly, the lack. I do like the way they make the Godzilla threat a lot more unique, though, since usually in Godzilla films, at least the ones I've seen, I haven't seen every Godzilla film, but in the Godzilla films I've seen, usually Godzilla is just physical destruction. He usually doesn't also affect the ecosystem, so I do like that. It makes Godzilla a lot more devious, at least in this interpretation. Kind of like how in the original, where Soldier would take on Godzilla, and eventually they were going to get hit by radiation. Kind of gives me slight OG Godzilla film vibes for that reason. I mean, yeah, I'm not gonna blame him for wanting to go straight to gunfire though, because if something is attacking you, your first instinct is just gonna whip out a weapon for self-defense purposes. Because that's just human instinct. You're not gonna, when you're being attacked, you're not gonna think rationally. Rationality goes out the window with yes, Arcade Jaeger. I've been waiting to see him kick some ass. Okay, now we're just getting him guys. They were like butter. This never gets old. It looks like now they're actually learning to perceive the threat, because I like how the moment they see the spear kill a bit of their allies, the rest of them just utterly run away like the scared little cowards there. I like it. I like the way he says a mama's over there. Well, he has such a menacing and imposing body. And as for the board, they're going to have no choice but to just wait on results instead of asking for shit like explanations. Because at that point, any explanation would be a fucking luxury. Huh. And the way Cecilia will turn pale and like a trolling matter. He's almost become one of my favorite characters in this series. And the way he's talking about this shit all boastful. Honestly, the singular point kind of reminds me of a space saucer. I know it isn't, but it kind of looks like one, at least from the angle that the animators were showing it from, and it looks absolutely and utterly cool. Hey, should have listened. Thankfully, its going arm saved its ass. Or should I say it's robotic ass, I should say. It was warned. The way he says it all positively, it's adorable. I mean, I just love how he's instantly hitting it up all casually as if it were a freaking football instead of like a device that's utterly freaking dangerous. But I do like this though. Says that Union, he means all business, and he's got zero fear too. It just, that symbol scene goes along with this characterization perfectly. I mean, I'm not gonna blame our union for not wanting to explain it, because that it is a fucking long. It will take a while for him to explain shit. I mean, I think they should believe it, considering the feats that Godzilla's doing. He's affecting the motherfucking ecosystem. That should be at least enough evidence that Godzilla be capable of destroying the universe. I'm just saying. Hmm. I understand Jaeger is powerful, but we've seen nothing from Jaeger to suggest that he's going to be able to destroy Godzilla, even though they haven't given Godzilla enough screen time. Godzilla's shown a much more epic feats than anything Yet Jaeger's ever done, and Yet Jaeger is no bitch. He's strong. It's just that if I were to compare feats, Godzilla's like S tier, and Yet Jaeger's probably like a B tier. If I were to do any comparisons to strength. Well, no one said it was ever going to be easy. Huh. Makes sense because they're gonna, if they're trying to interpret the future, it makes sense that it's gonna be harder. Well, it's gonna make their job harder anyway. It looks like he's about to fade out with the way the voice is starting to sound a little bit distorted. I like the swimming animation. It perfectly represents whenever someone's searching for information. It's essentially surfing the net for any little bit of info. So I kind of do like how they portray the internet, at least in that small bit. It's a nice little visual cue. Don't get me wrong, I actually do like seeing the other kaiju that aren't Godzilla. I ain't gonna lie. All because it gives the series some nice variety. Hmm. Oh. And that's if the catastrophe doesn't occur right now. Because if it keeps on changing their expectations, I wouldn't be surprised if it's going to occur soon. Way earlier than just 3 hours. This is like an adorable scene of cute little early post about this. But I like it though. It gives it some horrific personality. Well, at least the more personality than I already had. Hmm. If that's the case, then might as well go about that route, but they're going to have to communicate with the Yun Yun soon at the very least. At least the information that May is going to gather. Okay, is Phillips 2 glitching out? Because there's multiple different versions now. Unless all the information is affecting Phillips 2's capabilities. And that's why there's multiple versions. I mean, my venture to guess that there's got to be consequences for trying to gather information into the future. Oh, it's that beautiful song again. Although I guess beautiful from my perspective, not beautiful from the perspective of the people in the series. It's more of a song of terror. I like how now it seems like this is an epic version of the same song. I wonder what's all the mobs showing up now. Unless the sign that the catastrophe is about to occur right now. And that can only be my guess. Oh boy. I actually like the Q animation with Jaeger waving goodbye. Hopefully that ain't the last time our Jaeger can playfully wave goodbye. But that song is so fucking ominous. In a good way. Okay, I actually like the way they have a bird's eye view of like the whole city. Looks like it's been transported into like a post-apocalyptic world, even though we know it's not the case. It's pretty much just Godzilla's presence is causing this. Oh yeah, no, that's what I love here. Like that, yeah, no, fuck yeah. Now, in saying that, even though I did like the episode, I'm getting worried for the finale because since it's going to episode 13, there is no way the animators and writing stuff are going to be able to settle everything satisfactory in just the span of a single episode. Because let's just break it down. In episode 13, the writing stuff has to give Godzilla a good amount of screen time. They've got to also do conflict resolution. They got to have Jaeger go up against Godzilla. They got to give Jaeger his screen time. They've got to also somehow give us an epilogue if they do take down Godzilla. On the span of a single episode, whoever has to write episode 13, I don't envy their task. Because whatever happens, they're not going to have enough time at all. Because that's the thing. I like the episode, but this series is giving me some of the life animes I've seen for literally 5 seasons straight. Well, 4 seasons. And when animes are usually like this stacked up against the wall, usually the final episode doesn't land. I'll still have hope for the series. But I just gotta give off my concerns because I don't want to seem like, oh man, I'm a caveman. You don't call out the series you like. No, I call out the series I like. But let me just start out with the positive though before I delve in with the negatives, which have nothing to do with this episode. It has to do with how much time are they gonna have left for episode 13. But here's what this episode did right. What it did right is, at the very least, it does give an explanation as to why Godzilla hasn't shown up enough. So I do like that. And in addition to giving us that type of explanation, I do love how at the very least you're seeing the plot events from Union's perspective, because at least now he's getting a means of dealing with Godzilla. All he needs is just the code. And they'll be able to have at least some means of dealing with the main major threats. Now, in saying that, I also do love how it also shows the negative ramifications towards Phillips too, because in him gathering information from the future, you see him being distorted. And I do like that, because in a lot of series, sometimes when there's time travel, there's like almost 0 to no consequences. I like how that in this series, no, there is consequences towards trying to get information from the future, and I do like that. That ain't just gonna be simple and clean. Because in a lot of animes, when there's time travel elements involved, you don't see any negative actions. You do see it in this series. So that's why narratively, there were a lot of positives in this episode that I could point towards that are actually reassuring. And I even liked how they give emphasis on the different kaiju creatures. And how we saw a bit of combat sequences, especially involving Jaeger, giving him at least a few more feats before he inevitably has to go up against Godzilla. So that's why I'd say, even though, yes, there were bits in the episode that felt rushed, there were way more positives than negatives. And I have to give the episode a lot of credit for that, from a story standpoint. Now, and saying that, there were also positives visually too. I thought the CGI looked great, especially in the gunfire sequences. And I do love the creature animation when you see some of the kaiju want to avoid the smoke of Yerga when they see him slashing some of their allies. That's the type of stuff I like to see because it gives some of these creatures a lot of personality. That's why I thought the visuals did a good job of also making things really engaging. And that's why I have to give not just the script, but the art animation a lot of credit. Now, in saying that, I would say the only downside in this episode is, again, it really is seeming like the series, there is a chance that episode 13 might fall apart, and let me explain why it might fall apart. For one, the reason why it might fall apart is, aside from all the reasons I mentioned, that they're really not going to have enough time for Godzilla, it's also got to deal with this little consequence. Since Godzilla is affecting the ecosystem, the final episode also has to contend with the fact that they're going to have to explain how that's going to be affected if Godzilla gets defeated. Then you've got the whole situation with the catastrophe, and then the calculations that Union and me are going to have to figure out. I mean, how in the hell are the writing staff going to do all this in a single episode? I mean, overall, it's just going to be near impossible. And that's why I got to mention that in my reaction, because if episode 13 shows up, I at least want to mentally prepare myself for a rushed ending. Now, I hope episode 13 proves me wrong and it ends up being a well-paced, well-done episode. But usually when my gut feeling is telling me that things are going to be rushed to shit, it's usually right, unfortunately. Just look at last season. I was able to predict Hortensia Saga, Geki Idol, Idly Pride. I was able to predict Idols. I was able to predict A Wave, Let's Go Surfing. I was able to predict those animes were going to have shit tier rushed endings like 3 or 4 episodes before they even ended. No, even 6 episodes before they ended. And then this series, it's now giving me similar vibes to those series. Difference is, Godzilla's Singular Point's a lot better than those animes. But regardless, that's the only thing that is worrying me. But in saying that, I thought at least this specific episode was well crafted enough for me to give it an 8 out of 10. And regardless of the fact, I am excited for episode 13. Because at the very least, the characters have continued being likable. And even the music has been really damn fucking beautiful the last few weeks. But, anyways, y'all, these are my thoughts on the episode. I would really love to hear your thoughts on how you feel about either my reaction or the episode itself in the comment section below. Hope y'all rate the video, share, comment, or subscribe. And I hope y'all subscribe because you're not going to want to miss my reaction to episode number 13. But anyways, y'all, right before I go, I'd like to say thank you very much for watching my video, and I hope you all have a fun, great, safe, and fantastic day, everyone. But anyways, y'all, thank you all so much for watching, everyone, and have a fantastic day or night, y'all. Bye-bye.